5 seconds.
This conference will now be recorded.
We're live.
Good evening, everybody. This is the Auburn Town Finance Committee. It's January 15th, 2025, about 5:30 p.m. Let me just read our remote participation script. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Finance Committee is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, 1-786-535-3211 with an access code of 991-599-357, or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/991-599-357. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Please note this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. If some or all of the Finance Committee members are remote, which I don't believe we have anyone attending remote, members or otherwise, but please let me just affirm those are present, say your name when I call you. Members, Trevor Sansucci is not present. Michael Marshall.
Present.
Patrick Jones.
Present.
George Graham.
Present.
And Stephen Consilio is not present either. Town officials, Assistant Town Manager Dory Vecchio.
Present.
CFO Town Accountant Karen Harnois.
Present.
And Administrative Assistant Sharon Kwiatkowski.
Present.
Okay, so we have just some transfers this evening. We'll get right into those. Let's start. This is an interdepartmental transfer from the library. Is coming from the, Assistant Director of Circulation's patron account. Amount requested $17,573 going to the Assistant to the Director of Technology. The reason given for this transfer is the payout accrued time due to employee for vacation and personal time. And I'm just going to read the other one in as well, and then we can have, we'll ask for some clarification on these, okay? This one also from the Assistant Director, Circulation/Patron, amount requested $4,587. This one is going to the Assistant Director for Admin, and the same reason given, payout accrued time due to employee for vacation and personal time. Can we just get brief clarification on these?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This transfer was required to pay employees accrued time, vacation and personal that they had not used in the past. So this brings them up to date so that they're currently in our system where they should be. And that's, the money's in the budget, so we're transferring it to their line item.
Additional questions?
What's the intent of doing it now if they're still employed with us?
It is earned time that is owed to them. So by law, any employee that has time that is owed to them, the town is responsible to pay them. And this is not necessarily time that's earned for this fiscal year. They still have vacation and personal time for this fiscal year.
So is it that they can't exceed their time overtime to use this up and then take it out then? Have they reached a benchmark that they'll never be able to access this time to take?
That's a very good question. Through the chair, it is actually a human resource issue that was determined over the last couple months, and it is to ensure that these employees are given the time that they are owed.
Any additional questions?
Motion to approve the first transfer?
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the first one?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion to approve the second transfer?
And second.
Motion and a second on the second transfer, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Next one is from the Police Department. This one is coming to, from the patrol officer's account. Amount requested $1,300, going to the clerical account. Reason given, step raise advancement for other town employee. We have the deputy chief with us. Chief?
Good evening. Through the chair, it is there was another hiring process conducted across another place in town, and this employee, because of the salary that was augmented to hire that new person, it brought this person's salary up. So it was unanticipated, not budgeted for, and that's where that's at.
Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next one is from the fire department. This is coming from the reserve account, going to the building maintenance account. Amount requested $12,672. Reason listed on the transfer request, unexpected asbestos issue that required air quality testing and remediation at Station 2. That, I believe that closed the station for a week in July. Chief?
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. So the exact dollar value that is on there is to cover the invoice for the air quality testing and the remediation. So within the first couple of weeks of July in the new fiscal year, we had an asbestos issue at Station 2 that DEP actually closed the station for a week. So during that period of time, the asbestos was remediated, the building was tested for its air quality, it passed, and then DEP allowed it to open late that Friday afternoon, so it was closed a full Monday through Friday. So that took, obviously, that was an unanticipated expense that the building maintenance account took a hit within the first couple of weeks of the fiscal year. So that is to cover those services from July.
Thank you. Any questions on this one?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Through the chair, I move that we take the next 6 transfers together, all into the wages full-time account.
Motion to take the next, is it still 2 pages?
One on the next page.
The next 6 transfers from DPW Highway Division, they're all going to the wages full-time account as one. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second?
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll read them in. So going from the civil engineer account, amount requested $5,000, going to wages full-time. Reason given, I believe that's due to staff turnover.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next one from the civil engineer 2 account, amount requested $657, also to wages full-time, also to reason given due to staff turnover. The next one from sand and gravel account, amount requested $500, going to wages full-time due to staff turnover. Next one going from traffic paint, amount requested $3,034, going to wages full-time due to staff turnover. Next going from public education, amount requested $2,000, going to wages full-time due to staff turnover. And finally, from sediment disposal, amount requested $926, going to wages full-time, again, due to staff turnover. We do have the DPW director with us, if you wanted to give us some insight on these requests.
Good evening. So we had, I think, 5 people due to various reasons. We had one person retire. Unfortunately, one person had passed away, and 2 people that had, actually 3 people that moved on to either different jobs or I think police already left, but one of them went to the police station to work for the police department. So we had 5 people leaving. We had to pay out for their earned time off. So I'm just trying to reconcile the account.
Questions on transfers? Any, that's a good chunk of staff. Is that was that all within a short period of time, or is this over the course of, what's period of time was the turnover?
Recently, we had 2 people leave our fleet division, so we were lucky enough to find somebody in the middle of winter, or find 2 people. One started about 2 weeks ago, one started this week. So those were pretty close together. The retirement was at the beginning of the year, and then the other one was in September.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next one also, these should be easy. From DPW as well, from the insect control account, amount requested $1,000, going into protective clothing, and another one from the GIS and inspections account, amount requested $1,000 for protective clothing. And the reason given for both was due to staff turnover. And is that,
So, per the union contract, the employees have a stipend for uniforms. So even though they left, they had already purchased their, their T-shirts and whatnot. And so we have to also be able to provide that for the new employees.
Motion to approve the first transfer?
Second.
motion for the first transfer, all in favor? Motion
Aye.
second.
Motion for the second one?
And we have a motion for the GIS to the protective
Second.
clothing. And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. From sediment disposal, also from DBW, sediment disposal, amount requested $3,074 going to the training and education account. Reason given, CDL training for new employees. You want to give us some insight on that?
So we are able to hire new employees, but there is, it's difficult to find employees that have CDL, commercial driver's licenses. So we need to, the regulations have changed a few years ago, where now we have to send them for training. Before, we were able to, train them in our vehicles in the parking lot, but that's no longer an option. So we have to send them to a facility to train them.
Any questions on this one?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. From DPW, from the facilities supervisor account, amount requested $4,200, going to the facilities maintenance account. Reason given, to compensate for unexpected expenses.
So one of the expenses that we've had was we didn't expect to. We had the town hall pressure washed. Certain expenses that just came up that we didn't foresee. We have a new facilities supervisor that's great. He's on top of things, so he's also looking at some of the some preventative maintenance that needs to be addressed too.
Any questions on this one?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
From the Fleet Maintenance Division. Coming from the Fleet Wages account, amount requested $5,000, going to Fleet Supply. Reason given, to replenish the Fleet Supply account due to unanticipated budget shortfall. Sir?
Good evening. So this fiscal year that we're in, we redid the fleet maintenance motor vehicle repair account. Historically, it has been sort of one account for the entire town's fleet, and that was becoming challenging to manage because there's a lot of different departments that get their vehicles repaired out of the account. So we broke that up into several different accounts this year. The police has their own repair account, fire, DPW, town hall, and then we have another account for general maintenance supplies. There are some times where we buy supplies for fleet maintenance that can't really be assigned to a specific repair, like large drums of oil or consumables that are going to be used over multiple repairs. So those come out of the general fleet maintenance. I think it's called general maintenance account or something like that. So it was difficult to know what to budget for that this year, so we kind of took our best guess. And it looks like we're running short of that at this time. So I project we'll probably need a little bit more to get to the end of the year, but we're looking at how we charge the different accounts for some of these things, like, for example, when we get a large quantity of hydraulic fluid. Okay, that's mostly for the DPW vehicles, maybe that can go to the DPW repair account. So we're still working on how we sort of allocate those. But that's sort of why that's gotten low at this point in the year. We may need more in that account before the end of the year, but we're going to go slow and see what we can get out of this, and if we need to take more money out of another account to fill it up, we will.
My question on it, so is that internal accounting that you're tracking better, or did you actually create separate accounts that we're gonna see before us in the budget?
So these separate accounts are here now, that they're in the budget now. We did track them internally to some degree, and that's why we were able to sort of set the budget for this year the way we did. But yeah, no, each of those budgets are things that you can track now.
Okay, no, I meant tracking, just so much that, is it gonna be one of those things that we've got extra money in the DPW account, yet we have to service more of the town hall vehicles, and we're gonna have to come before finance to transfer money from one supply account to the other supply account? Or is that just a tracking, so behind the scenes you can see where you're spending your money, on which parts of the...
Yeah, I mean, we used to track it internally, and now we're tracking it in the budget. And the idea was, historically, there have been different departments that have had very high repair needs one year to the other, and it has always fallen on the DPW to find money, scour money in our budget, and take money out of wages, take money out of engineering, take money out of this, to fund, if the police had to repair a bunch of police vehicles, or if there were fire engines going down, it was always on the DPW to find that. So we've broken it up by department so that we could have a little bit more accountability and a little more equity as far as how we find that money if and when it does come short throughout the year, which you'll see in the next transfer.
And I guess to that point, so will we see the police fleet budget under the police departments?
It's all under the DPW's
Still all
budget.
under
It's
DPW.
just tracked separately.
Okay.
But it's all still in the DPW fleet maintenance repair budget.
Okay. Question?
Motion approved?
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere, right? This one from the reserve fund. Answer the questions. From fleet maintenance, going to the motor vehicle repairs - police account, amount requested $15,000. Reason given for the shortage, more than anticipated repairs needed to police vehicles.
So police has been, of all the different departments in town, they've been probably the most consistent in how much they spend each year. It's been between $40,000 and $50,000 every year. That was a pretty easy budget to set at the beginning of the year, and of course, this is the year that one goes over. There was a number of front-end and transmission work that happened all at once right after July. I think it was about a half a dozen different vehicles, totaling about $20,000 just between those several repairs. It doesn't look like a trend that I expect will keep continuing throughout the year. It seemed like it was sort of just a blip at the time. I'm projecting that we may need more than this to get to the end of the year, but we wanted to, again, get what we think we need to get through at least 2 or 3 months. And if we need more, we'll address it at that time. I didn't want to over-ask at this point and then have money left at the end, especially since we're coming out of the reserve account. It's hard to project what you're going to spend in fleet maintenance because it's hard to know when something's going to break. But looking at the numbers and looking at past burn rates in vehicle maintenance, I think we'll probably need a bit more than this, maybe another $10,000 by the end of the year. I think my projections put it around $25,000 to $35,000 by the end of the year, and we're asking for, I think, 15 tonight. So we'll continue to track that and see how we do. But their repairs tend to be pretty consistent, tires, brakes, oil changes. So I expect that it'll be a fairly predictable burn rate from here to the end of the year, barring, large unforeseen issues.
Sir?
Through the chair, I just wanted to clarify that what you're saying then is that you're really trying to bring the balance up to 23 to ride us for the next few months, or is a part of the present balance already expended and it really isn't going to be 23 once we do the transfer tonight? I'm just trying to clarify, once we move the money, if there's an impact on the 8,000 that's already there. It's worded, it says more than anticipated repairs needed for police vehicles. So one would think that we've got current repairs to do. Then below that, it says amount requested will be used for following extraordinary and unforeseen expenditures. So because there's multiple reasons, I'm trying to discern whether, to repeat my statement, are we putting 23,000 now to move forward with, or is it already reduced because we're going to be taking away from it?
There are bills that still need to be paid.
Right.
So this will go down once we get the money, if that's what you're asking.
So, and then you're thinking it'll go down, but there'll be enough to ride us for a little while.
Yes.
And then we'll hopefully get into the spring and see where we stand,
Correct,
without
yeah.
giving me a fixed number.
I expect this will get us maybe 2 months, depending on, again, how those 2 months go. So we'll likely be talking about this again, maybe around March or April.
So 15 grand for 2 months. Okay, thank you. Motion to approve.
Any additional questions for us?
Sorry.
I have one question, and it's less about the money and just like a general question. Do we get a warranty on police vehicles? Like, when you buy a regular car, you obviously get a warranty, I'm assuming?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And like, how much of, how long, like, is it a typical, like, you buy a Ford Explorer, you get 3 years, 50,000 miles? Like, what are we?
That's a good question. I'm not aware of any special stipulations in their warranty. I think it is fairly typical. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's anything special about the police vehicles as far as
I'm
warranties
assuming they're being
go.
driven harder than a normal car.
Oh, of
on some
course.
level.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if it's shorter than the normal warranty. I'm just curious, like,
We do a lot of warranty work. So there's plenty of repairs on new police vehicles that are warranty work, and it's covered, and those are taken care of. I don't believe the terms are different than a typical, for example, they're buying Tahoes now. I don't think the terms are different than a typical Tahoe you would buy. I can check to see if there's any particulars, but I'm not aware of any.
it's just honestly curiosity, so.
Yeah, but no, there are
more than
things,
I knew
there are
before.
things that come, they do have warranties, we do track that. So, when we can get stuff done under warranties, we absolutely do.
Because we also don't keep these as long as,
It depends on the use of the vehicle. Some of them we keep longer than others. The police department is sort of in charge of their capital improvement budget and how they, how long they keep vehicles, when they retire them. We handle the DPW vehicles, but when it comes to fire, police, town hall, we just fix them.
I would be curious, I'm sure this is not a question that you can answer, but whether the warranty status is taken into account when sort of making those decisions on how quickly we should be swapping cars out. 'Cause
I'm sure that it is. That's a better question for police. But yeah, I imagine that would be a factor.
Thank you very much.
And just to that point, I think that's a consideration with tracking the maintenance costs, right? There's probably a life with any sort of piece of equipment where the investing more money via maintenance is not worthwhile to continue that vehicle in service, right?
That's correct, yeah. So once vehicles start getting older, they start getting more difficult and expensive to maintain, they get retired. That has been a little bit more of an art than a science, and we're trying to make it more of a science. We're trying to use more data. We have software that we track it, and actually, like Joanna mentioned, we recently hired some, we think, extremely capable personnel on a fleet maintenance division who are showing a lot of promise, and we think that it's going to, our capabilities in that regard are going to get better. So, hoping to have more data for you as we continue to build that. But it's nice. Actually, the software that we have even has certain features in it that allow you to track that. It's sort of a vehicle life expectancy. Hey, it gives you a warning. Hey, this vehicle's been getting a lot of maintenance, a lot of miles. Maybe time to repair it. Kind of gives you like a retirement score that you can use to inform you. We haven't been using it for long enough for that to be a thing that you know, is a factor for us yet, but hopefully someday.
I was just going to add, too, that we have to take into consideration the production line and items coming to market, because even if we do plan lately, we found that we probably had to put more money into repairs because, you know, some of the things we've gone out to purchase have been delayed in getting to us. So,
Not even just delays. I mean, the costs they go up so much every year. It seems to be 10% a year. And you know, a salt vehicle that cost $250,000 only 3 years ago is now $350,000. At some point, that becomes unsustainable. So we are trying to do more maintenance, do a lot more preventative maintenance, bring as much capabilities as we can in-house to reduce costs. We've even been deferring more to, instead of surplusing vehicles, using them as scrap, taking parts off them for other vehicles. We've been doing that a lot with the police vehicles. So we're trying to, you know, scavenge costs wherever we can.
I guess I do have a question, and it's sort of on my line of before, you know, these repair budgets stay within the DPW fleet division. It's more for, I think, for the CFO. I know our employees do a good job taking care of their vehicles, right? They're treating them well and respectfully, but if there was, you know, a particular department was seen to have an increased repair costs, and maybe fleet identified, you know, some issues, does it, by keeping all the money under fleet, does that really, because if it was under the police department, for instance, just because they're in front of us here, and you saw, hey, we're going through transmissions left and right, you know, the chief could have a discussion with employees, hey, we got to be careful with the transmissions, watch your accelerations, or, you know, minimize the transition, because otherwise it's coming, I've got to transfer money from the police department budget into the police fleet budget, and would that make those departments more cognizant of there's a cost value to it, as opposed to when it's stored outside of their own personal budget, their own department budget? It seems to be sort of a DPW's issue, not so much the particular department's issue. Just as a philosophy, I don't know, you know, your
Right, I
thoughts on
think
it.
that's why we're moving more towards this direction, to make the departments more accountable themselves too. So once, this is the first year that we're doing it, so once we get better estimates in, then I do believe that we need to make, and that was Nick's point, you know, make the departments more accountable for their maintenance costs on their fleet.
I will say, if I may, that I believe keeping them all within the fleet maintenance division budget does allow us a lot to streamline it, sort of from a management standpoint. As far as accountability, we do a lot as far as communicating with the different departments. I meet with the police regularly. The fire sort of has their own, they manage their own repairs because it's so specialized. But I communicate with them regularly. So when budgets are getting an issue, it's not a surprise. You know, it's something that we talk about, and we try to, you know, brainstorm what we can do, you know, what's needed. So I think that, you know, from a sort of managerial standpoint, we do handle that well. I would think that putting those budgets in each department's account would make it challenging, for example, for buying, you know, if we need to buy parts, you know, and then we need to go through some more cumbersome approval process. I think that would make it a little bit challenging, and I think that was a model that the town used to have years ago before we did the fleet maintenance division and brought it all into one sort of unit. But that's just, you know, I guess my 2 cents on that.
No, as long as that level of communication is there, and go ahead, Karen.
And I guess, you know, what Nick was saying before too, is that if one of these, if the police or fire have excessive repairs, then they kind of feel like maybe they have to look within DPW. But I think we're trying to move more towards, you know, we still need the money where we need it to within the DPW highway or the different departments. Like now we're going and saying, okay, well, let's request this from the reserve fund at this point.
And just, I guess, I'm trying to figure some of this out. So this particular one, you've made a determination to take the monies out of the reserve fund. Could you go to another department's remaining funds? So for instance, if it was excess police repairs, could you have gone and said, police has money left over in their building maintenance fund, and we're going to move it to the fleet maintenance?
Yeah, that's something that we can.
Could make
we
those
can look.
determinations.
Right, we could look at that in the future as well. Yes.
And that was a conversation, you know.
Thank you. Perfect. Any other questions? We have a motion?
Motion approved?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. From DPW Cemetery, coming from the seasonal account, amount requested $2,000 going to the clerical account, reason given, wages required for vacation coverage. Anybody have any questions?
Motion approved?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Also DPW Cemetery, from seasonal, amount requested $164.82, going to the wages account, reason given, transfer will eliminate the deficit in the account. Questions?
Motion approved?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. From DPW Sewer Division, from the wages account, amount requested $1,500, going to the heating oil account, reason given, fuel delivery for generators at sewer stations. Any questions?
Motion approved?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
This is coming from the reserve account, salary reserve, from the finance assessor, name assessor clerical, amount requested $460. Reason for the shortage in the account, a payout of sick time owed per mutual agreement between town and union. Any
Motion
questions?
approved?
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
This is the one. It's difficult to read on the copy, so we have an original. This is also from the reserve, salary reserve, coming from Human Resources, for HR admin salary, amount requested $9,408. Reason for shortage in the account is a payout time due to employee retirement. Any questions?
Motion approved?
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
And this is our last one, also coming from the reserve account, from the town manager's office. This one is for manager professional service. Amount requested $14,000. This, reason for this is for the cost of professional recruitment firm to assist the Board of Selectmen in replacement of town manager. CFO, do you want to just comment on this one briefly?
I believe this is, maybe Dory can help me with this too. Was this approved at the Board of Selectmen's meeting to move forward with this?
Yes, through the chair, the town manager had solicited quotes for a recruitment firm to search for the next town manager. The Board of Selectmen approved that on Monday night, and this is the result of that approval.
I don't know what that means. Any questions on this one?
Motion approved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That is all of our transfers for this evening. Do we have any, before we do minutes, do we have any items that we want on the agenda for our next meeting, whenever that may be?
I have two.
Okay?
The first one I'd like on the agenda is to talk about the remote access and shutting it down, to bring that to a vote. And my second one is if we can get an update, we've got an opening or so on the committee, and I'm curious if resumes have been submitted and if the Board of Selectmen have gotten to any interviews. We're going into budget season, and it would be good to appoint someone and have them get into the process now so that next year they're up and running.
Everybody good with getting those other two items? And we'll probably ask for a report back on that one. It'll be an agenda item, so. Okay, well, we had minutes on our agenda for tonight. If there's no questions on the minutes that we were provided, then we'll consider them to be accepted. And, anything further for us? Do you have any idea when our next meeting might be scheduled? Do you have?
Not yet. Right now, we're starting to review the budgets with the departments. So once we get through that, I would think, and I don't have any other transfers at this time, so as soon as we know, when we're ready to bring it forward.
Any budget stuff out there in the world of state government to hear how things are trending, or have you heard anything?
Usually we get some updates for after the MMA conference in January, which is, I believe, maybe in a week or two. Next week.
Great, thank you. Okay, no further questions. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody.